All right. So, first, I'd like to welcome everyone here and thank you for being here. Um, Welcome to the Council on Developmental Disabilities Self Advocate Discussion Series. I'm Cheryl Powell. I'm Council Vice Chair of the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities. On behalf of the Council, thank you again for being here. This discussion series is a place for North Carolina self advocates to gather and engage with each other to talk about things that affect our lives and people experiencing life with IDD and other disabilities. We want this time together used to get to know each other and to get to know the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities, where Brian, Kay, Chris, and I are leaders, colleagues, and valued for our input because we are who we are. People with disabilities should always be valued like that. And this discussion series will demonstrate why and how. So now we're going to go to the poll of the day. Um, Today we're talking about direct care assistants and the direct support professional workforce. First, we'll do a few polls that tell us about you. So we'll get started with that. So while we're waiting for the polls to come up, just want to say I hope everybody's doing well and been having a good week. Here we go. So the first question, just in case anybody needs it read, is what is the person who is paid to assist people with disabilities called? Direct support professional, direct care worker, direct care assistants, or other? Now we'll wait for the results.
Cheryl, we'll give people 10 more seconds. They're still coming in, the answers.
I look at that. Okay, great.
Thanks, Cheryl.
No problem. Okay. So it looks like direct support professional is at 59%, direct care worker is at 14%, direct care assistants at 5%, and other at 23%. I'll tell you, I chose other because these folks can be called each of those names depending on who they work for.
Yeah, I chose the same.
All right. Our next poll question should be coming up momentarily. Here we go. And this question is, do you have direct care assistance? Yes, no, or does not apply to me.
All right, we'll give it 10 more seconds. So if anybody wants to get their last minute answers in.
Okay, and so we've got yes at 31%, no at 8%, and does not apply to me at 62%. So I chose yes, but my supports aren't paid. I don't care what you say. I'm not paying my husband to take care of me. He should be happy to do that. Okay. Do we have another poll question? I think we do, don't we? Yes, we do. Cool. So it says, did you know that there is a DSP crisis? Yes, no, does not apply to me, or I don't know. I just saw in the chat that Jeff, and forgive me if I'm saying your last name wrong, Pagari says this
Yes.
is the meeting. Just want
Yeah.
to say welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask a question? Oh, hold on.
Dave.
Brian and I both, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna turn him down. Brian and I both got a prompt. Darn it. Asking about sharing our photos. I'm trying to turn Brian off, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just gonna close you out. Yeah, we both got a prompt asking to have access to our photos and videos on our camera. Was that something that anybody else had, or?
I didn't. Anyone else?
You think it comes from your computer? Okay, we think we know what the problem is. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
That's a problem on our end. Okay, we got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Always good to look out for that kind of thing.
Yeah, very cool.
So our poll results are in, and so we've got 79% that say yes, they're aware of the crisis. No at 7%, does not apply to me at 7%, and I don't know at 7%. So that was kind of a cool breakdown. I said yes, but I have an unfair advantage because I do this stuff all the time. All right. Let's see. So now that we've done our polls, and I think that was fun, let's get into the disability topic issue. Chris Hendricks, Policy Education Coordinator with the NCCDD, will give a little background about DSPs, tell you a little about the DSP crisis, and share some information about what some folks are saying and doing about the DSP crisis. So, Chris, I will turn it over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be talking on this very, very important topic today. And I hope you can still recognize me. You may have previously known me as Chris Hendricks. I am still Chris Hendricks. I am simply Chris Hendricks with a beard. So hopefully that's okay with all of you. My 3.5-year-old daughter insisted on it, but I promise you that I'm still going to be as professional as one could be. So what I'm about to share comes from the recent National Association of Direct Support Professionals, the NADSP, symposium handouts, and a 10/4/2019 white paper prepared for the state of Georgia. Everyone hear me okay? Yeah? All right. Direct Support Professionals, or DSPs, assist people with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities in realizing their full potential and becoming valued and participating members of their communities. Their work is complex and goes well beyond caregiving, requiring skills including independent problem solving, decision making, behavioral assessment and prevention, medication administration, health and allied health treatment, teaching new skills, crisis prevention and intervention, and more. Their work is determined by the unique needs and preferences of the individuals they support, and they are held to high ethical and professional standards. There's a growing demand for direct support professionals to support citizens with disabilities in home and community settings. The direct support workforce is one of the fastest growing in America due to population growth, the increased life expectancy among persons with disabilities, the aging of family caregivers, and the mandated movement from institutional to community-based services. This demand is outpacing the supply of available workers. Vacancy rates and voluntary turnover is high. Low wages and limited benefits, minimal training, ineffective supervision, and few opportunities for career growth, combined with the growing complexity of work, are barriers to creating a stable workforce. The crisis of care in home and community-based services settings is of high concern across the nation. For years, the service system that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families rely on, Medicaid, has needed an investment. People are stuck on waiting lists for HCBS, the direct care workforce is underpaid, and too often unpaid family caregivers are filling in the gaps. We need federal legislation coupled with a strong influx of federal funding to build the DSP workforce, including establishing a career pathway and solid investments to ensure that DSPs possess the capacity, competency, health, and well-being to meet the growing demand and provide the highest quality of Medicaid-funded home and community-based services for people with intellectual and other disabilities. The availability of a qualified, competent, and stable direct support professional workforce plays an important role in supporting people to accomplish goals. It is critical that DSPs have the competence, confidence, ethical decision-making skills, and guidance necessary to provide quality support, receive compensation that is fair for their job responsibilities they have, and have access to career paths to a career path aligned with ongoing professional development. Examples of advocacy activities across the nation include the following. The NADSP is advancing and lobbying direct support professionals as a standard occupational classification. And the NADSP is asking Congress to support and co-sponsor, Senate Bill 1437, recognizing the role of Direct Support Professionals Act in the Senate, and House Bill 4779, recognizing the role of Direct Support Professionals Act in the House. The National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals, or NADSPs, started a petition to the U.S. Office of Management and Budget about establishing direct support professionals as a standard occupational classification. To learn more or add your name in support, you can click on the link provided in the chat box below. Well, I know that was a lot of information to take in, and I know you don't want to have me talk all the time. So now we get to hear from North Carolinians that are near and dear to me and all have personal experience with direct support assistance. This is the good, the bad, and we'll just say concerns for now from all sides. Kay McMillan is a dear friend and a friend with cerebral palsy who uses a DSP services. And Kay's roommate and natural support, Emily Solis, will share her experience too. Dave Owen is an extraordinary DSP who supports Brian along with supporting rock stars for a living. And that's appropriate because Brian is himself a rock star for the council and beyond. And Brian will also speak to his experience. And last but not least, Sarah is a parent to Matt Potter, and both are going to speak on their professional and personal experience in the area. So, with that said, I turn it over to one of my favorite advocates, Miss Kay McMillan, if she would honor us by sharing her story.
I'm using my device.
For those who don't know me, my name is Kay McMillan and I am 27 years old. Like other young professionals, I live independently and work full-time at a nonprofit that I co-founded. In 2017, I graduated from NC State, summa cum laude. I also have significant cerebral palsy. I am not able to walk, feed myself, or get out of bed without assistance. Despite my physical disability, I have been able to accomplish the milestones above through the help of direct support professionals, DSPs, through the Medicaid Innovations Waiver Program. Unfortunately, many DSPs have left their jobs and no one is applying to backfill their positions. I am in jeopardy of having to move to a more restrictive and more costly for the state. That is not my choice. My mom, who lives an hour and a half away, has had to come on a regular basis to be my DSP when someone has called out or if there is an open shift. This is not sustainable when my parents are no longer physically able to take care of me or when they are gone. I believe that paying DSPs a competitive wage that truly values the work that they do will help to alleviate the DSP crisis that is occurring in our state.
Emily, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Emily Solis. I am part of Kay's natural support. I'm a roommate in her home. I live with her. And I have definitely seen the DSP work shortage. I'm natural support and I don't, in my own life, have the ability to delve into the DSP work with Kay in particular, even though I've been asked many times to help fill that role. It's not something I'm able to do. I really value the experience that I have living with Kay, able to see the many DSPs who are essentially like roommates to me because they are there very often. It's really fun. I have about 20 roommates in this little 3-bedroom house in that kind of sense. But it has been difficult, especially through the pandemic, to see so many open shifts and see the extra stress that it causes on Kay McMillan, but also her parents who are having to fill in this role, and just the people around her, the extra stress from the pandemic and just the natural types of challenges that come with having a disability. To add on top of that, someone who is fiercely strong and independent and is moving forward in a career and things of that nature, to see this come has been disheartening. And to see how legislation has and has not moved towards, as Mr. Hendricks and as Kay have mentioned, really showing that we as a society value Kay and her ability to be able to live, as as free and independently as possible. To be able to provide people to help that support is so important. And it has been an interesting experience to be exposed so close within my own home to what it looks like when those services aren't valued by us as a society and in our government, and then when they're lost and they're not provided securely.
Thank you, Emily.
And I also want to say before I go back to my communication device,
And I also want to say before I go back to my communication device,
that if my has again safely gone the above and beyond.
Emily has gone graciously above and beyond.
That whom the hands them that movement call out
And has stepped up when there has been last minute call outs.
and then you ever are the roommate
And our other roommate,
who have another job
who has another job,
have come back to work with the healthcare agency
has come back to work with the healthcare agency
to help fill some with some
to help fill some shifts.
So Chris asked me to share some advice.
Chris asked me to share some advice.
This is my best answer.
And this is my best answer.
Like I mentioned before, I think valuing the profession of direct support professionals as a society and paying them a living wage will be a huge step in the right direction to overcome the barriers related to this crisis. My political science degree is going off here, but it is going to take a lot of systems advocacy to effect the change that needs to happen to resolve this issue. While it is important to have parents, DSPs, and other stakeholders involved in this fight, it is crucial to have individuals with disabilities who use in-home and community-based services be at the table because it is our lives that are at stake. We are literally visuals of what waivers can do for people with disabilities to people, such as legislators, whose eyes may glaze over when you start talking about the innovations waiver or other in-home and community-based services.
On you.
Yeah.
My only additional advice is people will eventually talk to you or answer you if you don't go away and you are persistent. Also, so I guess I lied when I said it was my only additional advice, but always ask who can I talk to next. If you get the answer, I have empathy to what you are experiencing, but I am not able to make change. My mom and I have gotten that answer a lot over the past 3 months, and we keep having one-way conversations until they turn into two-way conversations.
And that all we have.
That's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, thank you so much, Emily. Thank you so much. All you have is plenty and more. So we so much appreciate your sharing. And with that said, I'm gonna pass it over to one of my other favorite pairs in the universe, Dave Owen and Brian Dooley.
You could be on camera.
Yeah.
You want me to go? All right, I guess I'll go first, and then he'll show his awesome face.
Well, I can go ahead and talk.
Brian said he'll go ahead and talk first
The way I can only talk briefly.
because he can talk briefly. Go ahead.
I'm talking about asthma.
Unfortunately, his asthma is flaring up right now, so we might go into he's starting his treatment, so it should be getting better. Basically, his story is, unfortunately, his mother passed away last year. So I, Dave, stepped up at a crucial time because I have, because I've basically lost everything that I built on. I could have. I had to start a new job. And I could have easily seen myself move in with my elderly grandparents an hour away. I love my grandparents, but ... Because I also wouldn't have the same economic possibilities. And I had just gotten my very first job, so I didn't want to ruin that. And it's a great job for me. And I was told that Dave was supposed to do most of the talking. So I guess you guys are cursed with me for right now. I guess I'll go down the list. If I get off script, I do apologize. So what is your story about your experience about being a DSP? So I said, and I wrote this down because I get long-winded. After being involved in this line of work, I've come to the conclusion my role is, and how I became a DSP is a complete anomaly. I come from a live music and concert promotions management productions background. After my previous full-time job went out of business, I happened to answer a Facebook ad from a mutual friend of Brian and I's. He was looking for somebody to take care of somebody with special needs. My previous employer was a quadriplegic, albeit from a considerably different personality and lifestyle background. I thought this was something I could take on. Little did I know how involved I would become in Brian's life and how important of an individual and friend he would become to me. I was just looking for a job, plain and simple. But what I found in the disability community, I could correlate and extrapolate from my DIY and punk rock ethos, however you want to say it. It's a sense of coalition and togetherness, looking after each other, fighting the good fight. Have I had any barriers related to being a DSP? There are barriers included in all aspects of life. Me personally, I'm a little disheartened that my home state, which I cherish and adore, have decided that DSPs on average should be dead last in pay across the entire country. I did not get a raise in pay for 5 years until Brian's mother passed away, and that was only considered an emergency rate. That's pretty demeaning, in my opinion, for years of dedication. I'm grateful for the pandemic bonuses that I received, but I can't budget my daughter's dinner on a bonus that I'm not aware that I'm getting. I have also, due to the unfortunate fact that Brian's mother and natural support has recently passed away, have had my hours increase dramatically. His new nighttime helper has to take a back seat for school, and his grandparents and his other supports are almost an hour away and aging. This is detrimental for many reasons: burnout amongst staff, me, and his grandparents, and no one to take care of Brian in case of an emergency. God forbid, I get into a car wreck, et cetera, anything. So he's only got 2 full-time assistants and one live an hour away. Do I have any advice about overcoming barriers related to being a direct support for the direct support worker crisis? I would say communication is essential. Not to sound blunt, but you want a job, someone needs assistance. You both need each other. You got to set your ground rules ahead of time. Do you need quiet time? Is there a favorite show that you need to watch? Do you eat at a certain time? It's a relationship. It might not work out, but get the ground rules set ahead of time and be patient. Do you have any resources or advice that I could share? You got to be creative. You got to use your resources, your friends, your family, that comic book store guy down the street, your neighbor from middle school. Think outside the box. Don't always rely on state and federal assistance. Social media is out there. Use it. Don't be afraid. Put yourself out there, because sometimes you can't rely on the experts. You yourself have to be an expert. So thank you.
Dave, thank you so much for sharing, and that's a lot, and there's so much good information in what you shared. And I know that Brian probably has some thoughts, and I'm not going to make Brian answer all those questions, but I am going to ask Brian if you have anything to add to what Dave shared. Is there any last nuggets you'd like to share?
I'm not surprised that this crisis is happening.
He's not surprised that this crisis is happening.
It's always been a crisis.
It's already been a crisis. Now it's just worsened.
We definitely need to pay them more.
We definitely need to pay our DSPs more and professionals. I'm sorry. And professionalize the field. For example, insurance. He doesn't think that I get insurance, and I don't get insurance.
That's not typical for somebody.
But that's not typical for someone who works as many hours as me.
So the company should provide.
So I think the company should provide that. Just like any other company. There should be a way to give bonuses for people with more experience and those type of things, because they could end a career just like any other career. And I do have a resource. Centers for Independent Living can help.
Most of us don't provide direct services.
Most of us don't provide direct services, but we can connect you to other
and advocate
and advocate for you.
that's something human.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Thank you both. Thank you so much for your time and your sharing. I can't imagine, you know, my understanding and my connection with you all is that you're the cream of the crop. So I can only hope that other individuals that are passionate about something, about walking the path, can hear the message in the way that you've shared it. So really appreciate you both for your time today. With that said, I'd like to pass it over to Sarah, Potter, and Matt to share their experience.
Well, first, I just want to thank Kay and Emily and Dave and Brian for those valuable words. Thank you for sharing them. I'll start off by saying Matt's been using DSPs since he graduated in May of 2009. We've had to change agencies a couple of times because we would go months at a time, that is, without any assistance at all. We were fortunate enough in the very beginning to have the same DSP morning and night, but he eventually had to leave to take care of his own mother. And after that, it really became a revolving door. We would just, sometimes somebody would last a couple of weeks, sometimes they'd last a night. It just really was not something that you could depend on. Then we had the pandemic, and we haven't had anyone in our home due to the pandemic for a couple of years now. But we do hear in meetings on a weekly basis of other families that have difficulties. Some have had to quit their jobs. Some have had to stop their activities in the community because there's no staff available. The process that people have made towards their goals and their desired outcomes have actually, some have deteriorated due to lack of staff to help them with their home and community-based services. Do we have advice about overcoming these barriers? Our family is very fortunate. We can still assist Matt with his needs, his housing, his transportation, and his personal care. But we're aging parents, and our concern is for Matt going forward and what his prospects and future look like when we're no longer able to fill in when staff is not available. We're always searching and interviewing, and we start all over again. Like I said, it's like a revolving door. And to us, everybody loses. Matt, we do, the DSP, the provider agency, we all lose because there's such high turnover, and it costs all those involved. It costs the individual and the system. So my recommendation to everyone listening today is to get involved as much as possible. You need to expand your network and your connections. You never know when you might meet someone who may know someone who, like Dave said, you got a need and you can provide it. So you have to make connections. So let different groups know in your community what your needs are, and maybe they can find someone or know of someone who could give you that kind of assistance. Word of mouth helps. And do we have any advice or resources? My advice to you would be to get involved with other statewide groups and increase your advocacy. It's critical for you to let legislators know how not having staff impacts your quality of life and your involvement in the community and your overall well-being. Many people don't understand if they don't have lived experience or know someone who knows someone. They just don't understand what needing that kind of assistance means. And you're the best person to let them know. Your voice is very valuable. So I'm saying we need to advocate for a livable wage for our DSPs, to professionalize them and to value them for the critical role they play. So our job is to educate and inform the legislators, and you can do that with your voice. So it's important that we all work together so that you all can lead a meaningful and fulfilled life. So now I'll turn it over to Matt Potter so he can help you with his perspective. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. again, I hesitated. I didn't know whether to call you Mom or Sarah because it's still super weird. Um, but that's the way it is these days. Anyway, I apologize in advance if I go too far off what I was going to talk about, but this is a very challenging subject to maintain my focus on, not because I am not focused on it, but because when good points get brought up and when things are discussed that are very emotionally charged for me, then I often forget some or even most of what I was planning to say and just kind of go off the top of my head instead. But I will endeavor to make sure that I talk about the things I was going to talk about. So the first thing that I definitely wanted to talk about is something that I don't think gets discussed enough, is the potential workforce that exists in people who are not currently trained as or not currently looking into being direct support professionals. I think about obviously people like Dave, who is just a tremendous DSP, who, as he explained to everyone, was not looking to get into the industry, certainly was not a longtime veteran when he did, and yet here he is. From my own experience, when I was in college, through the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, or DVR, we were able to get funding for some direct support for me during college. And with that money, I was able to just hire fellow students because there weren't as many restrictions on where the money went, and I didn't need particularly involved medical care. The reason why I bring that up is because those college students were some of the best direct supports that I've ever had, even now. The reason why I bring that up is because there is very much a tendency to lean on people who fit a very specific set of qualifications, like CNAs, or certified nursing assistants, I believe is the acronym on that one. CNAs, similar sorts of red tape and regulations, as was said in the chat. And let me be clear, I understand that there is a place for those regulations. I understand that there are cases in which someone may have more involved direct medical needs, and they need the additional assistance, and that's well noted. But it should probably also be recognized that having too many barriers to access for people being able to get paid as direct support professionals further shrinks the workforce, which is already woefully small. So I think that having common sense reforms and common sense acknowledgement that even family members who don't have certifications and things like that often regularly provide supports, even if they're highly specialized. And we realize that that is born out of necessity and a love for the person. That can that can be found in other places. The only other thing that I wanted to make sure I mentioned, because I don't want to talk too long, is I also wanted to mention that it is impossible right now for a direct support professional, unless they fit a very specific set of variables, to do what they do and to live off of the money that they earn. I think every single direct support professional that I've ever had, other than those college students, had 2, if not 3 jobs at the same time. And that is not tenable. These people have families too. They have concerns of their own. And as much as we want and need them to take care of us or our loved ones or whomever else, we also need to respect the fact that they are living their own lives and they should be paid consummate with the value of the work that they are doing, which they are currently not. So I believe that through hopefully some common sense discussions about pay scales and about who can be paid as direct supports, as well as making sure that we strongly advocate for a living wage for those individuals, I think that we can go a long way in addressing this crisis. Thank you.
Matt, thank you so much for your time. And I know that my experience and yours are different, vastly different. But in honor of the DSPs and the advocates that we care about so much, I did write a song, and I'd like to take a moment to play it for you because focusing on challenges can be challenging sometimes.
Hey, Chris. Hey,
Yep.
Chris, this is Devika. We have a question from the audience. Do we have time to take it?
Oh, we do? We have a question. Oh, okay. That's what I get for having the chat off.
No, you're good. Miriam, you have a question. Would you like to ask it?
Yeah, my name is Miriam. I have a son. He's an adult right now with severe autism and other a condition of epileptic disorder, and the same thing. So I really appreciate that everybody is kind of. I thought that I was myself like just the only person that have this concern, like not finding the right people that can work with my son. But my question where these people can have like the right training, and who are the people that are we can rely on to to send us the people that they can be really like a well paid, and the people that can take care of our kids the right way, that we don't have to leave our jobs and leave our life to be able to stay with our kids. And we can, and our situation even gets really worse because like from just kind of where I've been living like since the pandemic started, I have to leave my jobs. I have to find something to do to provide for my family. So how do we choose the right agencies, and who is responsible to give the right training to the it's another term that I just learned today, the support, the DSP, because for me it's just a community service worker. So, and then I appreciate like the time, your time, and just kind of thinking about the same thing that I thought that I was just kind of say it needs to be really kind of something that would advocate for the people that are helping us and helping our loved one. And thank you. So like just kind of wondering if there is any training that needs to be done, as well as where to look for the right people to give us that service.
Miriam, thank you so much. This is Melissa Swartz. I'm a staff person at the Council on Development of Disabilities, and that's what this direct support professional discussion is about. It is to collect those kind of questions and to try and give resources to all of the folks who are on the discussion series. of making sure that we put these questions and these issues in the hands of the decision makers that can have the direct influence on supporting our direct support professionals, making sure they're well trained, they have a clear career path, like Matt Potter had stated, and the discussions that Sarah and Matt and Brian and Dave Owen put forward. So what we would like to do is we would like to take your question and make sure that in this larger activity that we get your question and your name to put on that larger question board and put forward. Earlier in the session, we had put up information related to a petition that the National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals has started, that you can learn more information about, to make sure that your voice is heard and that the activities that they are engaging in have as much attention as they possibly can get. And we'll put that location in the chat box. We'll put that link back in the chat box. And that is a very, very good place to start. But thank you very much for attending. Chris?
Thank you very much, Melissa, and thank you so much, Miriam, for that powerful contribution. And we are absolutely going to collect all the questions that we can. Hopefully this will inspire and uplift our audience here today. I wrote this song dedicated to the very, very hardworking direct support professionals and the advocates they care for. And it's meant to represent the fact that both our differences and our similarities as advocates and DSPs make us stronger. We are stronger together because of how different we are and how we come together in our day-to-day, and it's both what makes us similar and different that empowers us, and it's called Because of Us. And this is in honor of all of you. I hope you enjoy it. I have a way I do what I do. You got the same kind of differences too. Thanks to a parallel point of view, I am myself when I'm with you. In these trying times, when trying's all we know what matters most. 'Cause we are heart to heart. We are different scars sewn together. So no matter what, we are better because of us. Stories are written in my kind of verse, with my own pictures, my sound, and my words. Enjoy your in sorrow, but never rehearsed. Thanks to you, I'm heard, 'cause we are who we are. We are heart to heart. We are different skies sewn together. So no matter what, we are better because of us. We are different, obviously. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, 'cause we know the differences between being looked at and being seen. We are who we are. We are heart to heart. We are who we are. We are heart to heart. We are who we are. We are heart to heart. We are different scars sewn together. So no matter what, we are better because of us. We are better because of us. Whew. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. It was meant for all of you. Hold on to it. That's the best thing about music. You spoke today about using your voice as just another way that we can use our voices. The best thing about music is that you can hold on to it and give it away at the same time. So keep that in mind. I hope you will. And with that said, do we still have time to get some extra sharing in? Melissa?
We need to ask our producers. We need to ask our producers from the O'Neill Communications Incorporated. Devika Rao, you have the ability to stay on for another 10 minutes, so we can at least try to get some information and conversation from our attendees, or do we need to go ahead and close on out?
No, I think the conversation is great. So if everyone can hang tight, we can finish up the session and keep the momentum going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Devika. Thank you, producers. And thank you all. Because now is, in my opinion, and in our opinion as a council, the most important time, which is the opportunity for each of you to share. So you'll see on the screens, on your screens in front of you, you've got the questions. And so I'll just go over them with you quickly as a reminder. And anyone who wants to share, please raise your hand in the chat or let us know, and the floor is yours. But the questions again, do you have a story to share about your experience with direct support professionals? Do you have a story to share about your direct support assistants? Have you had any barriers getting or keeping direct support assistants? Do you have any resources or advice to share and help others related to direct support assistants? And do you know something about direct support that we have not talked about yet and are willing to share?
We have our first taker, Cinda. I hope I'm saying that correct. She has her hand raised. And would you just like her to start answering, or is there something specific you want her to start with?
Nothing specific. Go right ahead.
So Cinda, you're up. And you're on mute. Cinda, can you hear us? There you are.
Cinda, this is Chris. Go ahead when you're ready.
Yep. Cinda, you're on. I think she might be having some technical difficulties, so we'll come right back to you, Cinda. Just chat us to let us know you're ready. Miriam had her hand up next, and we can go from there.
So, Miriam, this is Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, you going back because maybe I came in a little late because I didn't get. Maybe I don't want to be odd, but the going back to the DS I get all the time confused. Oh, the worker. I mean, our worker. I mean, I had someone that has been working with Zach since he was 8. So Zachy is right now, he's gonna turn 19 next month. And the only thing that kept him with us is just because he just kind of we love him and he loved us, and we trying to do things that maybe like just to be in put a lot of pressure on him. But he been kind of sharing with me, you know, Miriam, I wanted to go and change like agency, but you know, because I love so much your family and I love Zach that I cannot do, because from my understanding, the agency itself makes more money than these guys that do the work. So that's really like I feel like that's is unfair. That's why we need, like I said, something that would maybe like some kind of not monitoring. I don't know what to use the word in English. Maybe just more a little bit control. look into what those agencies that's contract the people that do us so much a huge favor, because that we can make a living and we can provide for our families and like I said, going back and taking care of our wonderful people that's without them we cannot do anything, because it's all like a circle. So like I said, very often everybody is kind of trying, like someone said earlier, try to find another job or the third job to make a living, and they have families. So I think that there should be a little bit more like a kind of checking, what those agencies are doing, like that provide our people that without them we cannot do anything.
Can I say something?
Jump in.
So,
Sure.
in response to what you were mentioning, I would just say that there is a push for what they call legislative oversight of providers, just based on sort of what you're talking about. So there is, you're not the only one that feels that way. So just know that. And I'll also say on the other end, they get paid certain rates for certain services, and so they're so intricately involved. It's so hard, and they've made it complicated because it's North Carolina, so it's complicated. I'll just say it's complicated. You're not the only one that feels that way, and the providers, they get the money, they get to do their work. So it's just a complicated thing. But I just wanted to tell you that there is other schools of thought there. So
Yes. And thank you. Thank you very much for your input, Miriam, and thank you, Cheryl, for that ad.
Cinda has her hand raised again. Cinda, do you want to try again to ask your question, or you could drop it in the chat if that's easier? Okay, maybe not. Anyone else?
Okay.
I thought I heard someone start to share.
The floor is still open. You guys can still share. Those questions are on this screen.
I've got a question. I guess I don't have my hand raised. I'm curious about what is this statewide? I apologize for not knowing whether or not this is a statewide discussion. That's my question.
Douglas, thank you so much for your question. Yes, the Council on Developmental Disability is an agency that represents statewide self-advocates, family members, and professionals and others on the topic of intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are trying to get started a self-advocates discussion series to hear from and attract self-advocates, individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to hear their voices, to hear their thoughts on various topics and activities. And our marketing and outreach does go statewide. So to everybody in the room, and Douglas as well, if you would direct folks to our nccdd.org website under the Self-Advocates Discussion Series, and please distribute that information far and wide, because we would love to have all the self-advocates in the state of North Carolina on these calls and to spend more time hearing them share their feedback, their experiences, their stories, as we try to support those individuals to develop relationships with legislators and decision makers. Thank you for asking, Mr. McDowell.
Yes, I've got someone in particular in our county that I'm thinking of that will benefit from this information greatly. And I'm certainly going to share it with our Consumer and Family Advisory Committee.
And Mr. McDowell, if you look out for our emails, we will send you the information for the next session as well. So please do share it so we can keep getting more voices.
You can count on it.
Awesome. Well, looks like we have any other questions. Miriam, you have another question. Would you like to ask it?
Not probably a question. I'm just wondering, like, for example, if myself that has been in school for different classes, like development, disability technology, and about to graduate, how do I get to this? And I did this just to help my son and to see, how the system works. If I want to, for example, tomorrow say, okay, I'm going to have something that's, I'm going to train, and I'm going to have people that going to help all our community. So how is it the process? How gonna get to that field? Like, for example, to be myself, like an agency that would train and just do everything that I'm missing now for my loved one, and for that I see around me that are other parents and other people that are missing, families are missing. How do I get to that area if I want to open up something that would provide the services?
So Marion, this is Melissa again. I think what I should probably do, if you will allow me to use your email address for which you registered for this session. And the Council on Developmental Disabilities can be used as an information and referral support for folks like, for North Carolinians interested in developmental disabilities. And if you will allow me to, I would love to be able to send resources to you via email that'll help you ask that question to the entities that are representative in our state to answer those questions for you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you for your questions, Miriam. I'm so excited about how active this has been. We may very well need to do a part 2. But with that said, we have indeed, our producers have graciously held on for even longer. So we're out of questions and out of time. And so I'll pass it back to Cheryl to close us up.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you to everyone for being here and for your questions and your advocacy. It's much respected, much needed. So as has been mentioned, there's a lot of different resources and events and activities going on. And on your screen, you can see there are some listed. I'd encourage you to go again to the council's website. I believe it's nccdd.org. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. I just have it saved under my favorites. I just hit a button. Yeah, how that goes. So go there for more, but this list will be up within a short amount of time. This will be on the website. So I encourage you to go there. I won't read all that to you because we're short on time, but I can't thank you enough for being here. And just as far as this whole DSP work crisis goes, it's not fair. And so I'm ready to advocate, have been advocating, and will continue to do so, as well as my friends and colleagues here. So thank you, everyone. And please come back again and keep in touch with us.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
On behalf of the council, thank you all so much. And I just wanted to very, very quickly say, people have been asking in the chat if they can get a hold of the PowerPoint. I believe we are, jump on me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I believe we can send it out upon request. That's correct? Excellent.
Yes, we can send this out for sure.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Definitely come to the next one. We're going to keep having these as long as you desire.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Sal.
day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. You
Yeah.
too.
Take care.
Bye.
I'll also take this opportunity to tell our producers and supports, thank you so much for staying a little bit longer today. We need to save our recordings wherever those recordings get saved.